right to freeload.
That's right.
Employees in so-called right-to-work states make 3.2% less than those in states where collective bargaining is protected. 11 of the 15 lowest per capita income states are so-called right-to-work states. Lower wages mean people have less money to spend. When consumer demand goes down, the economy contracts. For every $1 million in wage cuts, about $850,000 is taken out of the economy and about 6 jobs are lost. Protecting good working conditions and middle-class wages are the real path to growth in Michigan. We need to protect working families instead of protecting already high corporate profits. We need to take time and properly examine this legislation and call it what it is, and not resort to rhetoric and doublespeak. I ask my colleagues to vote no on this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Hines. Bloomberg News has permission to photo today's session. Speaker recognizes Representative Lindbergh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I don't think there is a whole lot at this point that I can add to this discussion. As my colleague from the 55th District said, we all have the ability to screen out data, facts. The one fact that continues to strike me that we're screening out is that no one is in this state is required to be part of the union. That's a fact. But if we want to screen that data out, no matter where you are on this
Sit
issue,
You know the rules. I told you to stay seated.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
that most
I don't
of
remember
us
saying don't
can
say
agree
seated.
that this has been a flawed process. I know that I have colleagues across the aisle who have told me, even though they believe in right to work, that this is not the way to do it. It is those folks, through you, Mr. Speaker, who I'm appealing to. Those folks across the aisle who know that this process is wrong. And I'd like to quote Stephen Jobs, the following quote: "Your time is limited.
That's right.
So don't waste it living someone else's life.
That's right.
Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of other opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and institution." Mr. Speaker, I appeal to my colleagues across the aisle who know that those people who are making noise out in that hall out there
That's right.
should have the right to be heard next term.
That's
that
right.
this should be a process where there are committee hearings, where there is the ability for people in this state to come and discuss these issues.
That's right.
I appeal to you to find the courage to vote no.
Dig deep,
Thank you,
yeah.
Mr. Speaker.
Dig deep.
Thank you, Representative. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I just take a moment to think back. Think back 4 years ago now. 4 years ago, almost to the date, as I hear members in this chamber talk about the process and talk about the committee hearings. And as I sat in the back seat for those 2 years in the minority, and bill after bill after bill, not one, not two, not a dozen, Mr. Speaker, hundreds of bills were discharged from this without committee hearings, were put before us with an amendment, were voted on within 10 minutes of it being amended without us even knowing what it was. Not one, not two, not a dozen, hundreds of bills. And I asked my good colleagues on the other side of the aisle, where were you?
Thank you. Representative Thomas.
So this is tit for tat now? Is that what it is?
Speaker recognizes.
Give me a break. How immature.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I come before you today not as a Democrat, not as a Republican, but rather as a citizen of the great state of Michigan. And also a citizen of Dearborn, where the battle on the bridge occurred 75 years ago. We are standing at the precedence of an historic and rare opportunity for each of us to publicly perform our duty to serve our constituents. We do not stand alone. Many other great men and women have come and gone before us who have searched their hearts for answers to similar questions. Let us listen to the well-thought-out words of a few Americans who have faced the same challenges that we face this morning. It is essential that there should be organizations of labor. This is an era of organization. Capital organizes, and therefore labor must organize.
That's right.
I am a believer in unions. I am an honorary member of one union, Theodore Roosevelt. Should any political party attempt to abolish Social Security, unemployment insurance, and eliminate labor laws and farm programs, you would not be heard from of that party again in our political history. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Where collective bargaining is forbidden, freedom is lost.
That's right.
Ronald Reagan. Each of these wise quotes is from a patriotic servant of our people. Each of these quotes were spoken by a Republican president of the United States of America. Mr. Speaker, there has been instances in my career as a state representative that I have found it necessary to confront the majority of my colleagues, and even to oppose my party line. These were not easy decisions to make, and it did not come without certain consequences. But they were decisions made in the spirit of common humanity and an effort to support the safety and prosperity of all of our citizens. I am here by the will of the people of my district because they understand my commitment to represent them in their petitions and in their needs. I ask that you all contemplate deeply the notion that this day will bring with it one of the most important decisions you are likely to be faced with, knowing that with one simple act, you will alter the lives of millions of citizens, either positively or negatively, and that the futures of working men and women and their children will be impacted by what is done in this chamber today. Let the unprecedented noise and activity and publicity that surround this Capitol building today be a testimony to the will and the intention and the determination of the people of the state of Michigan. Let it leave no doubt of the dissatisfaction against the passage of this legislation that looms before us now. I speak here now neither to grandstand, nor to be argumentative, nor to gain political points, but to ask each of you to vote today for what is right and fair for the people of Michigan. To vote not as a cog in a political machine, but rather if you were alone in this room with just your conscience and your free will. So let us this morning enter into that space that allows us the freedom to exercise our compassion and the courage to show the entire nation that Michigan stands united at the forefront in the realm of human rights and the struggle for social justice and economic freedom that every individual who may seek it. Thank you.
All right. Very good.
Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to take a moment to share something with you all.
Speak, girl.
In our glorious fight for civil rights, we must guard against being fooled by false slogans such as right to work,
Right.